time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while.
Well, he's still making people smile. He's still making people dance. Let's have a hearty KTRS welcome to Don McLean. Hello, Don.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. I understand.
Show.
Well, thank you. I understand this coming Friday evening you're going to be performing here in St. Louis at the Sheldon.
That's correct. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, this will be an 8 p.m. performance at the Sheldon Concert Hall. Now, they are known for their acoustics. They are supposed to be just like perfecto.
Well, you know, the old symphonic auditoriums and even some of the very good vaudeville houses that they turned into movie theaters were made for excellent acoustics.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people knew how to do in those days, and it's great that that hall does that. I'm happy to hear that because I do well in those halls.
Now, have you performed in St. Louis before?
I performed everywhere. I'm sure I've done something in the summertime, or I've done many different things in St. Louis over the years. I've been doing this for over 30 years.
I understand you just got finished with a tour of Australia.
Yeah, it's the 10th tour of Australia, and I was in Canada for a few dates, and then I was down in Stamford at the Palace Theatre last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rolling along just about every weekend. I'm one or two or sometimes three places,
well,
and I love it. I still love singing. I love meeting the people and doing the songs.
Before we go any further, let me give out a little more detail here about the performance at the Sheldon. Of course, it will be Friday the 24th, and you can purchase tickets by calling MetroTix. They're at 534-1111. You can also visit any of the MetroTix outlets, and also the Sheldon will give you additional information at 533-9900. Again, that's this coming Friday, the 24th, Don McLean. This is kind of like a silver anniversary tour, if you will, correct?
Well, we're a little past that point now, but we can call it that, I suppose. I've been actually, it's closer now really to 30 years that I've been on the road. Actually I started in 1968 when I got out of college. And the first thing I did was got hired by the state of New York to sing along the Hudson River. They called me the Hudson River Troubadour. And while I was doing that, I wrote a song called Castles in the Air, which was one of my first singles off the first album I made, Tapestry.
Mm-hmm.
And the following year, after that, in '69, I was with Pete Seeger building the Hudson River sloop and sailing the boat on the Hudson River. So I did that all of 1969, and then in '70, the Tapestry album came out, and in '71 the American Pie album came out, and then all of a sudden I was touring the world, and it's never stopped.
And your world kind of, if you will, I guess, turned topsy-turvy there for a while.
Well, I got successful overnight, which is an unusual experience.
At its height, what was American Pie selling in a given week? Because I've heard figures
I don't really know.
I've heard 75,000 singles
I really
a
don't
week.
know. I do know that I got for a guy who basically was the sole support of his mother. My father died when I was 15. I had to support my mother with the gigs that I did and the guitar lessons I did. And then it's a long story, but I mean, gradually over many years, I started to work my way up to where I got a recording contract. And when that song hit, I think I got a check for $400,000 back in 1971. That was a hell of a lot more money than it is now. It's a lot of money now, you know.
Sure. Well, Mom had to be awfully proud.
Mom didn't have to worry anymore.
Yeah.
She was proud, and she had known that I had dreams and that I worked hard for my dreams, and she saw them come true, which is nice.
You know, when I'm not doing the radio gig, I am a history teacher, and I teach world history.
Uh-huh.
And if there was ever a word that would be applicable to you, it is that word troubadour, because had you lived in the Middle Ages or back in those days, that's exactly how you would have been described.
I'm a bard or a songster or whatever
all
you
of
want to
those.
call me. I don't just write my own songs. Although I've written a couple of hundred songs, I sing other people's songs as well. I'm primarily a singer and an entertainer who happens to write songs. I don't feel that my identity is tied up in being a songwriter, even though the world thinks of Don McLean, I think, primarily as a songwriter.
Yes. You mentioned college before. Were you a music major?
No, I was a finance major, finance and philosophy. And I got into Columbia Graduate School. I liked finance. The reason I took it was because I could never learn a language. I was so interested in English, and I could never put any other words in my head but English words. And whenever I had to learn French or Spanish, even though I loved the language, it never stuck, you know? So I knew if I was ever going to graduate from college, I had to take something that didn't require that. So I said, well, I guess I'll just go for business administration. And and it wasn't easy, but I suddenly discovered that I liked it. And when I started to earn some money, and when I started to get into the sort of the world of show business, not just the music world, it helped me not sign things that I shouldn't, things like that.
We kind of do things backwards in this country. If we were like Europe, we would teach foreign languages when children are about 6 years old, but we don't do it that way.
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, I've known a lot of artists who are kind of like me. I'm basically almost like a country artist, really, in the sense that I'm all self-taught, and I'm an ear musician. I don't read music, and because of my asthma, I had asthma as a kid, I was home a lot. And it got to a point where I really couldn't learn things the normal way. I had to teach myself things. I remember people trying to teach me to read music. I said, I don't want to know how to read music. I want to just imagine the songs in my head and sing them into the tape recorder. I don't want to do it that way. And I remember when I wanted to learn to play the guitar or the banjo, I always had to do it myself. I would kind of lock myself in a room for 2 or 3 days with some books and come out, and I was starting to play. That's how I did it. The same with singing. I read about singing and about breath support and vocal tone and all that, and then I kept trying to stretch myself and do more difficult things as a singer. Crying was probably the most difficult song I ever sang. I still sing that every night, and I had a #1 hit with that. And
so people could expect that in the set at the Sheldon.
Oh, absolutely. I do. It's funny, there's so many songs that people know now, And I Love You So, and Castles in the Air, and Empty Chairs, and Winterwood, and Vincent, and American Pie, and Dreidel, and Crying, and Wonderful Baby, and If We Try, Since I Don't Have You. There's just many songs that I've had on the charts, or that get played once in a while that people probably may not even know they're my songs or that I'm singing them, But
the adulation over the years has to have been great, otherwise you wouldn't still be doing it after 30 years. Obviously, the money has been good as well. But I'm wondering, what kind of a kick was it following fairly close on the heels of American Pie, when there was a #1 record that was a tribute record, Killing Me Softly with his song?
Well, that's been there have been some wonderful things that have happened to me in my life, and that's certainly one of them, to think that my performance touched somebody and they managed to transform that into a popular song, and then someone else heard that song and made it into a hit record that everybody knows, was a gift, really, to me. I had many of these kinds of things. They're not Grammys, they're not Oscars, they're not gold records, they're just very unusual things that have happened in my career, and that was one of those things, and it touched me very much, and still does touch me when I hear the song. I'm not a young boy anymore like I was in the song, but it's just a lot of great things that have happened. In this business, if you dream and you have ambition, and you're in America, I mean, you can do anything. It's incredible. The opportunity that you have if you're willing to work and you're willing to think. I started out making more money than my dad did, just teaching lessons and doing an occasional little parties and birthday parties and kids shows and stuff around town where I was born, and just thinking on my feet, And one thing led to another, and I found myself with an agent and a manager and a record company, and doing television appearances and opening shows for everybody. When I was signed with William Morris in the 60s, I mean, I opened every hard rock act you can think of, toured with Steppenwolf and the James Gang and Three Dog Night.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and 10-Wheel Drive, and all kinds of acts, and got totally involved in the music scene that was there at the time, and things that would normally maybe frighten somebody who just had a guitar. Say, well, I'm going to send you out in front of 10,000 people who want to hear Steppenwolf, and you're going to open the show. And once you turn that audience around and make them like you, you've learned something about how to perform on stage. So there were some wonderful growth opportunities and learning opportunities back in the 60s and 70s, the way show business used to be before video age.
Right. Before we take our first break, let me remind people our guest is Don McLean. He'll be appearing at the Sheldon this coming Friday. That's the 24th, an 8 p.m. performance. Again, those phone numbers, MetroTix 534-1111. Or you can call the Sheldon direct. That's 533-9900. Two quick questions for you, Don. Vincent, do you have any works by Van Gogh? Do you collect anything by Van Gogh? I had to ask. And that would be nice, wouldn't it? Especially that one that went for like $43 million a few years ago. And a caller who couldn't stay on wanted to know, do you have like a mailing address or a website that tells your touring information and recordings?
Yes, there is a website. If you bring my name up, there's one out of Australia.
So a little search will work, right?
Yep, a search, you get thousands of hits, actually.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
There's a ton of stuff on there.
All right. We're going to take a little break right now. Our time is 8:25. Our guest is Don McLean. You heard just a few of the wonderful works that he has composed and sung over the years. He read you off a list, and it could have gone on, and we're going to treat you to a little bit when we come back right after this.
Dream, I want the world to share.
And yes, you are listening to the Hudson River Troubadour, Don McLean. That is Castles in the Air. Yeah, just one of the many hits that he has produced over the years. Vincent is another. That's one of my favorites of all time. But we would be remiss, Don, if we did not pursue and ask you at least a question or two about American Pie, correct?
Sure.
Yeah. I've got like every resource book in the world, everything off the internet, and I still don't understand, and I'm convinced that after we complete our interview, I still won't know 100%, will I?
I never talk about it.
That's what I thought. Thank you ever so much. It's been very nice talking to you. I have in front of me, though, and this is hilarious. There's a book, originally is The Straight Dope, and then More of the Straight Dope, and then The Return of the Straight Dope. And they've got this great question in here where somebody wrote in one time, and they said, hey, we want to know, I've been watching and listening and all these years, and I don't know what the hell he's talking about with American Pie, and I think I got this figured out, and on and on. Well, then the answer the guy gives says something about, well, Casey Kasem on American Top 40 said this back in January of 72, and then the very next letter is from this guy named Don McLean saying, hey, guess what? I didn't talk to Kasem, and he never asked me this.
That's right.
He doesn't have it figured out, so there,
True.
I love it. That's great. But, they come to a pretty good conclusion here, and it says that Don McLean has never issued an answer key for American Pie, undoubtedly on the theory that as long as you keep them guessing, your legend will never die. And I'm assuming that kind of sums things up.
Well, I don't think I can remember what I meant.
It's all a fog.
It's so long ago.
Sure.
And also, if I could remember, I'm sure if I said, everything that the song that I had intended when I wrote it, people would say, no, you're wrong about that.
It would have to happen. Yeah.
I've actually had, people tell me things like that,
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure people have probably even pressed into your hands their own interpretation of lyrics, and here, this is exactly what it is. I know it is.
It's fun to see that part of the song, and that is an aspect of the song that people get into, and it's sort of the trivial pursuits part of the song. But I think maybe what I captured in that was some kind of a turning point that occurred in the United States and in the music at that time, and it was just a major turning point. I think people sensed that, and I tried to get hold of some kind of a mystical touchstone, if you will, about America, and create this dream almost.
Mm-hmm.
So that to try to analyze it and be specific about it would destroy that quality. whether or not it kept any legend alive or not. That the point is that it's a poem, and the idea is that it creates an aura about America, and it captures something indefinable. I think it does still for me, and I think for the audience as well. So you can either
that's
have
very
fun
well
with trying
said.
to figure out what it means, or you can just listen to it and realize that
there's absolutely nothing wrong with just kicking back and listening to it, because it's a beautiful.
It was
piece
a very
of work.
interesting and different time, back then.
Mhm.
It was a very tumultuous time with a lot of rioting and anger and people arguing about Vietnam and all kinds of stuff. And today, everything is very. We've been psyched out, and we're under control, and really we never really get too upset about anything.
Yeah. Is it possible, and my producer has typed this up on the board, is it possible that somebody would remotely be able to come up with a similar type of a song today?
Well, that's the wonderful thing about music and about the creative process. The problem is that it seems that the limitations or the groove that people are in is quite limited. Country music, the songs seem to be very limited.
Mm-hmm.
Rap music is extremely limited. Some of the other stuff is. There just isn't a lot of imagination that seems to be going into the songwriting process, and it's sort of mirrored in movies as well. There's less imagination going into the writing of the script and the dialogue. You don't have a Glass Menagerie or a Streetcar Named Desire, but you do have, a lot of special effects, and I think that's where video comes in. The music is not so important; it's special effects that the music is the background for. So really, that's what our entertainment consists of more today is the technology and what it can do to amaze us. I think that's put imagination and literacy kind of in the back seat.
Speaking of movies, have you been approached to incorporate it into the soundtrack of films, and if so, would someone use the entire 8.5 minute number, or?
Well, it's amazing. I mean, usually they use about 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
And, you don't even know where it was. I mean, you ever look at the credits in movies? You see like 50 songs. I never heard those.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in there, playing in the grocery store or whatever, for 10 seconds. They don't really put a lot in a movie. The Woody Allen's latest movie has contacted us about using Vincent and American Pie.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Born on the 4th of July used it extensively. But a lot of times they will clear songs for use, and then they probably don't end up in the film. So it's really one of those things.
We're talking with Don McLean. He, of course, wrote and sang a #1 hit, American Pie. He's established himself over the years, some 25-plus years now, in the entertainment business. He's going to be appearing at the Sheldon Concert Hall. That's on the 24th of this month. That's this approaching Friday, an 8 o'clock performance. And again, those phone numbers, 534-1111 for Metro Tix, and the Sheldon itself is 533-9900. Don, would you be able to take a call from one of our listeners?
Sure.
Okay, let's bring aboard Sue. And hello, Sue. You're on with Don McLean.
Hi, I'm just happy to hear the interview, and I wanted to make a couple of comments. One, I've got 2 kids that usually, don't like Mom's music, but whenever American Pie comes on, it's, this is the greatest thing that they've ever heard, and I told them that you were going to be on the show tonight, and they said, oh, cool, which teenagers usually don't say. The other thing is one of my favorite songs of yours is Till Tomorrow.
Well, it's lovely to hear. Thank you very much. And, one of the things that I'm very thankful for is that my song American Pie is a sort of a family affair. A lot of the kids and the teenagers and the little kids and moms and dads will enjoy the song together and sort of pass it down. And Till Tomorrow I sometimes do. I'll try to remember to do that and when I'm at the show there.
Okay, thank you very much, Sue. Don, are you able to stay with us a bit longer? Okay, great. It is just about 8:38. Don, if you need to go perk some tea or something, this would be the appropriate time, because we need to take about a 4-minute break here, if you could be patient with us, and then we'll be right back to our interview with Don McLean. Rouse here for the good...
Starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees.
Oh, that's so relaxing. I love that. That's Vincent. Our guest, we're so lucky tonight to have with us, Don McLean. He is appearing at the Sheldon this coming Friday night, the 24th of April. 8 o'clock is the time for that performance. Don, when you are going to do a gig like this one coming up in St. Louis, does the set vary often, or pretty much the standards?
After 30 years, I know thousands of songs,
Mm-hmm.
and I've written a lot of songs, and I change the show every night, basically. I have a bass player with me, I play guitar, I have a man who plays grand piano, and keyboard synthesizer, and they're both from Nashville. They've been on many records that I have made, and so I'll change every single night. I'll change the songs, put new ones in, and do ones they've never heard, and because I like to challenge myself to see if I can do it differently every night.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no set list on my guitar. You'll notice that. A lot of people have a little piece of paper up there with a list. I think it's the same every night. I never did that.
Yeah. Do you ever see some of the guys in the old groups that you used to open for?
No, most of them are gone. Most of the groups aren't around anymore. Most of the singer-songwriters, which was really my era, if I belonged to any particular group, it was the group that had sort of John Denver and Harry Chapin and Jim Croce and Cat Stevens, people like that. A lot of them are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them have done other things with their lives. So that was my group, I guess, and they contributed a lot of nice songs. Gordon Lightfoot.
How long have you called Maine your home?
About 8 years. I married about 12 years ago, second time, and I've got two little kids. I got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. So I have, in addition to touring and taking care of, the songs, I publish all my songs and the records. I own all the records, and I lease them to record companies. So they're always...
Oh, you majored in finance for a reason. I can see that.
Well, it's not a hard thing to do if you can set it up for yourself when you start. A lot of people don't realize they can't do that. So I spent a lot of time with that, and then also promoting the dates. Every date requires promotion. And when you have young children, well, you're busy with them all the time.
That's true.
So we're going to meetings, and different things are happening, birthday parties, all kinds of stuff going on around here. So I have a very full, wonderful life, and my performing is something that I need to do, though. I really have to sing for people. I love to sing for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just very thankful that at this stage of my life, I don't need to go on the road. I go on the road because I enjoy it. I really want to be there. I want to sing to the folks. It's not a matter of, I blew every chance I had in my career, and now I have to go around and do this so I can make the rent.
Yeah, it's great to know that you feel that way about it. I have a question. When American Pie first hit, did you receive any response from the Holly family about it?
Yes, I did. Maria Elena Holly wrote me, and she said, a few years later, she said, Buddy got more publicity in the 6 months after that song came out than he ever got in his whole career. And that you are the reason why people remember Buddy Holly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I get that credit much anymore from people, but that's what she said.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter to me. I just liked him, and I liked his music, and I remember as a paper boy, which is the only job I've ever had besides being a musician. That day when I learned that he had died, and it was a profound moment for me. And I came to school, and I was very sad. I was shook up, and the other kids in school didn't know what the hell I was talking about. They couldn't care less. So
now, you were like 13, 14 when that happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And I learned that a lot of things that I was interested in, really, other people didn't care about very much. So I quit trying to get people to care about the things that interested me. I just got into my music and began to write about those things. And eventually got the whole world to care about Buddy Holly, which I had no knowledge that would ever happen, but that's what I did. Instead of trying to convince people that the subject was important, I just wrote songs about it.
What have you thought over the years of the various movie incarnations of both Buddy and Richie?
Well, I mean, the whole thing, I mean, I'm of two minds about all this stuff, rock and roll music, the way I remember it in the 50s, was a fun kind of music. It grew out of country, it grew out of gospel music, and it was on small labels that were run by guys that stole everything from the artists, and it was a kind of a wild and woolly sort of a thing that was that we created for ourselves. And now it's become like a religion, and it's a big business, and it's a huge machine, and they've taken artists that were seminal artists that were there in the beginning, and they've made gods out of them, which they weren't. They were just kids who were having fun in the garage with their guitars, and stuff happened later on. And so I don't go along with all that second stuff. I still like the music, the way I remember it, which is it's just only rock and roll, but I like it, that kind of thing.
That's not a bad way to sum things up. How about one last call from one of our listeners before we let you go?
Okay.
All right, let's bring aboard Blanche. Hello, Blanche. You're on with Don McLean.
Hello, Dave. One thing I'd like to say is that American Pie is about the longest song I remember hearing.
I think it's the winner for that one.
Pardon?
I think it's the longest ever.
Well, I like
number
that.
one,
Well, I've been listening. I'm still not quite sure what inspired American Pie. The thing I thought was thinking about, the social turmoil at the time, like the Kennedy assassinations and all.
Well, that's all part of it.
That's all part of it, right?
It is a part of that.
Sure.
I just want to know what inspired American Pie.
Okay. We'll talk about it briefly here. Thank you, though, for the call.
Well, I can tell her that the opening part, is about the death of Buddy Holly, and when I was a paper boy. So that started the process off, and then the rest of it is like a dream.
Do you get a little chill every year right around February 3rd?
Well, my daughter was born on February 4th.
That's pretty weard.
And my wife was, I thought to myself, she's going to have this child on February 3rd. It's unbelievable. And, but Jackie would not come on time, so she had to have a cesarean.
Well, is cooperation up to a point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We've been so blessed by your music, Don, over the years, and we thank you for all of it, and we wish you continued success down the road, and we hope that you have a great time here in St. Louis.
Well, I intend to have a really good time, and I just want the folks out there to know they've given me a great life. They're supportive of my music, the records, the shows. I've played a nightclub in 30 years. I've played these wonderful theaters all over the world all my life, and the folks have given me this, and they give me a lot of love and a lot of respect, and I hope I'm worthy of it. I try to do a good job on stage, and I think that if they come to the show, they're going to be very happy.
The Sheldon Concert Hall is the place to be this Friday, 8 p.m., and please give them a call. MetroTix 534-1111. You can also visit any of the MetroTix outlets or get additional information from the Sheldon. They're 533-9900. Again, Don McLean, our thanks to you. Congratulations for the many, many wonderful songs over the years, and again, continued success in your career.
Thanks a lot. I enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you very much, Don McLean, and I'll tell you, we were so lucky to get him. I'm just almost exasperated is about the only way I can say it. It's 8:52. Hey, stick around.